आशुतोष जी एक बार साउंड चेक कर ले। मेरी साउंड ओके है?
Yes, it is okay. Yes, it is okay.
ओके सर। आई विल स्टार्टेड शेयरिंग द स्क्रीन वंस। जब शुरू करना तो आप बता दीजिएगा। आई विल स्टार्ट।
Okay, okay. Thank you. We are just going to start within a few seconds.
ओके ओके।
Very good morning to all. As per our regular Saturdays series, today we have one another very important topic related with ISO IEC 17025 2017. It is an international standard related with the laboratories working in testing and calibration. As the legal methodology which also perform the functions of testing and the calibration. This is very important. We have with us Mr. Mahir Abbas, who is presently working as Technical Services DLP LLP as director. He is Master of Science in Total Quality Management, be in Mechanical Engineering, Diploma in Mechanical Engineering, and he has more than 27 years of rich experience in quality management, operation, testing, excellence testing and calibration laboratory, accreditation, legal methodology process involvement, training, auditing, measurement, uncertainty, evaluation in the field of testing and calibration. He has worked in developing, implementing, and maintaining a quality management system as per 17025 BIS and other relevant standards. He has also worked at Godrej and Weiss Manufacturing Company as Chief Manager Calibration Services. He has an experience in implementation of EFQM, Kaizen, 7QC tools, Lean Sigma, etc. He is a certified assessor as per ISO IEC 17025 for NABL. He is a life member of Metrology Society of India, certified lead auditor as per ISO 9001, certified Lean Sigma 6 Green Sigma belt, provided consultancy for accreditation certification to 40 plus companies of large, medium, and small capacities, conducted 100 plus audits as per requirements of ISO IEC 17025 and 9001, provided 100 plus training. So it is a very good trainer who is actually giving sharing his experience and knowledge with us. Thank you, Mr. Mayor Abbas, for sharing your experience, expertise with our participants. We have with us our Honorable Shri B.N. Dixit, our Director Legal Methodology. Sir, thank you very much for joining us. As we are all aware, he has actually spent his whole life for the development of legal methodology in the country. Large number of laboratories, testing facilities, state of art facilities in the laboratories and on the level of the international level laboratories were constructed in his tenure. Thank you very much, sir. I would like to request Dikshit sir to kindly speak 2 words, please.
Thank you, Astosi, Director Legal Methodology.
Thank you, sir.
Government
Thank you,
of
please.
Happy Dhanteras to everybody who are the part of the program and who are not of the part of the program also, and who are celebrating it. And Dr. Mir Abbas, he is one of our chief guests in various programs. So I welcome him also, especially for this very occasion, because he is chief guest and he will give the nice lecture on ISO IEC 17025. So ISO IEC 17025 is playing very important role in the beginning for every laboratory, and our most of the RSLs has been recognized for these very certification systems. And later on, that Director Legal Methodology is also recognized for the OIMSCS certifications that covered most of the things and various certifications. That includes one of these certification also.
Sir, your voice is breaking.
A lot of work has been done in the field of legal methodology, and the many works are under process, which will be in near future. It may be implemented. So it is a continuous process. That means progress is some continuous process, and we have to monitor it, and we have to make it on successful path. That path should not go down there. That's the reason we are being made here for monitoring and encouraging the people, and this Saturday seminars plays very important role in everybody's mind that today program is there and we maybe discuss on that very subject. So that way that a lot of the officers are directly and indirectly are being reminded to be placed on your seat and do your duty on all that very things. I hope that this much is sufficient from my side today, and the rest of the things will depend upon Director Ashutosh Agrawal and Sri Mir Abbasi. So he will give the nice lecture. Sir. Thank you, Ashutosh Agrawal ji. Thank you, Mir Abbas Saab sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your kind and motivating words. You are always a lamp of light who always gives us the direction and the path. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. Now, I would like to request Mr. Meher Abbas to kindly share his thoughts, his knowledge, his experience. Over to you, sir. Thank you. And before that, I would like to inform that after this PPT, after this presentation, this video will be available on our YouTube channel as well as on our website. And the PPT will also be shared through our website. Thank you very much, sir. Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashutosh ji, for inviting me on such an eminent platform to sharing the knowledge on 17025, the standard which is mainly applicable to the testing calibration laboratories. And when we have met a couple of times, and I always appreciate Dikshit ji and you to creating this platform and spreading the knowledge and serving to the nation, not the society, the calibration laboratory, measurement society, legal methodology. And every Saturday, I think every Saturday is also not holiday for you. So, but you are doing a very good work for the society and the serving to the nation. Thank you. I always appreciate it. Hats off to you. And now back to the this training program. I like to start this program now. So this 1.5 hours or about 2 hours, 1.5 hour to 2 hours, it is very short period of time. I'm trying to give the gist of the standard. At least we come to know when we come out from this after this training, we'll know something about the standard. We may not be become the expert of the standard in just 1-2 hours, but we'll I try to make you to understand what the standard is and what are the main gist of the standard. Okay, so if anybody has any query or something, so they that questions can be discussed later on after the completion of the training. In between, I will have some certain quizzes. Just that quizzes can be answered in the chat box. But if anybody still have a question, we'll discuss after the program only. Now, what we are going to discuss today was the standard ISO IC 17025. It's a basic awareness program, just basic understanding to develop the basic understanding in the participants. It's the general requirements for the competence of testing and calibration laboratories. Meaning this standard is applicable to the testing and calibration laboratories only. It's the international standard adopted by in India by the ABs like NABL and other ABDAS and other accreditation bodies for implementation of the in testing calibration laboratories for their certifications, their accreditations. Okay, now the main gist is the competence. What is the meaning of the competence? We're trying to understand from this in coming slides. And the things which we are going to discuss today is the scope, some terms and conditions and general requirements, structural requirements, resource requirements, process requirements, and management system requirements. Basically, the standard has main 5 requirements as per the document system. General requirements, clause 4, clause 5 is structural requirement, clause 6 source requirements, clause 7 process requirements, and 8 management system requirements. Rest other the scope and terms and definition are the just to understand the standard. For the this is the guiding things for the any laboratory, any organization who want to implement this thing, they need to understand all those things, the limitations of the standard scopes, and understand the terms and like that. Also try to touch upon the what are the essential procedures, documents, and records required in the standards. time permits, I'll cover that aspect as well. Okay. Now, the important agencies involved in the accreditation in the standards is ISO, International Organization for Standardization, and IEC, International Technical Commission. These international bodies are mainly for the development of the standard, which is international. These are the international bodies. They develop the standard, which is spread out throughout the world, and all the world is following the standard. And BIS is the body which Indian body which has adopted a standard in India, and they published the standard for this become the Indian standard as well in terms of the after the adoption of the standard. And NABL, or like just like accreditation body like NABL, they have they are responsible for the auditing of as per the standard in India and granting the accreditation to the testing calibration laboratories. Now, if in short we try to understand this standard, what are the important things of this standards, ISO IC 1725, it has been developed with the objective of promoting confidence in the operation of laboratories. It's a requirement for the laboratories, enable them to demonstrate they operate competently and are able to generate valid results. इंडस्ट्री को क्या चाहिए? एक अच्छा लेबोरेटरी का, एक अच्छा ऐसी लेबोरेटरी जो कि एक अच्छा रिजल्ट जनरेट कर सके, जिस ऑन दी बेसिस ऑफ दिस वो अपने प्रोडक्ट की क्वालिटी को अंडरस्टैंड कर सके और अपने प्रोसेस को इफ रिक्वायर्ड कैन इंप्रूव इट, तो जनरेट रिलायबल एंड एक्यूरेट रिजल्ट्स. तो दिस स्टैंडर्ड्स गिव दिस दैट कॉन्फिडेंस टू द मैन्युफैक्चर इंडस्ट्री. Whatever the results are given by the laboratories are valid, reliable, and accurate. Okay, and the laboratories which are adopting this standard for implementation, they are working generally on the principle ISO 100, which is the basic standard of any general management system or quality management system in the world. Okay. Apart from this standard, apart from this, the ISO IC 1725 also required laboratory to implement, plan and implement, address risk and opportunity. What are the risks available in the laboratories? What are the opportunities available for the improvement? And for increasing the effectiveness of management system, achieving improved results. Results mean how the test results, calculation results can be improved in the laboratory day by day with maybe some technical advancement, through training of the staff, through improvement in the management uncertainty procedures, like that. Many aspects can be there. Now, basically, I said this is a competency. Talk about the competence of the laboratories. ये talk about the competency of the laboratory means उसकी योग्यता, उसकी capability की बात करते हैं यहाँ पे. How laboratory is competent in terms of equipment, in terms of the manpower, in terms of the facilities, in terms of the accommodation facilities, like that. Whatever the things is required for doing the test of calibration, laboratory has to equip with all those things. That comes under the competence. Then impartiality. Laboratory has to work impartial in terms of for all the calibration test results, whatever they are doing. That has to be impartial and consistent with the operation of the laboratories. Whatever the operation processes are there in the organization, or has to be implemented. This standard has to implement across all the sections of the standard, all the processes. This standard can be applicable to any organization, whether there is a one-person organization, maybe 1,000, maybe lakhs of the people. It doesn't define that number of people required for implementing this standard. And first version, about if we talk about the how many revisions are done, the first edition came in 1999 and 2005, and latest version is in practice today is 2017 version. There are 3 editions has come up till here. Title: General Requirements for the Competence of Testing in Calibration Laboratories. This is the standard. If we understand the title of the standard, so we can say the 50% thing we can understand. हमको रटना नहीं है, understand करना है. And if we understand the word of the competence, then 50% things we come to know what are the main requirements of the standards. Detailing maybe come later. First, we as a journal, what could be the requirements of the standard? जनरल रिक्वायरमेंट्स, जनरल मतलब सामान्य एक अपेक्षाएं या रिक्वायरमेंट्स है फॉर टेस्टिंग कैलिब्रेशन लेबोरेटरी, बट फॉर कंपिटेंस, या हियर कंपिटेंस, जो स्टैंडर्ड में जो वर्ड कंपिटेंस आया है तो एक्रेडिटेशन लेबोरेटरीज के बारे में, such companies taken to assure by the presence of certain features in their organization, means ability technically to get valid result. This involves people, knowledge, equipment, supplies and process, and getting it right. मतलब doing the right thing the first time. It doesn't mean कि अगर आपने पहले गलत किया तो बाद में सही करें. No, doing the right thing first time and maybe the always right. This is the meaning of this is the gist of this competence meaning. Okay. Now, here this standard, it's a part of the 17th series of the standards, which talk about, which has a structure like this. Structure is and process, resource and process. There are three things are required for this. Structure means what it looks like. Organization, we are talking about the organization. एक कंपनी में क्या स्ट्रक्चर होना चाहिए, कैसा दिखना चाहिए. जैसे अब आप बिल्डिंग की भी बात करेंगे, अगर बिल्डिंग को भी बनाने से पहले बिल्डिंग आप इमेजिन करेंगे कैसे दिखना चाहिए. रिसोर्स, व्हाट आर द रिसोर्स रिक्वायर्ड, उस बिल्डिंग को बनाने के लिए आपको क्या क्या चाहिए, कितना सीमेंट कंक्रीट क्या क्या चाहिए. द प्रोसेस, कौन कौन सा प्रोसेस इन्वॉल्व होगा, एट व्हाट स्टेजेस, लाइक दैट. Similarly, also in ISO 17025, दिस एक स्ट्रक्चर कैसा होगा ऑर्गेनाइजेशन का, क्या क्या रिसोर्स चाहिए होंगे, क्या क्या प्रोसेस इन्वॉल्व होंगे, व्हाट नीड टू डू एंड व्हेन, लाइक दैट. दिस शुड बी explained. These are the main gist requirement of the standard. Some just like example, job descriptions of the staff has to be, they should be aware of what are their responsibilities, and some manual procedures or some documents are maybe the examples of के लोगों को क्या करना है, कैसे करना है, to explain that what need to do them. Yeah. Up there are different, these are the four terms has come the standards again and again at different places and different requirements. Some places has come at the shall, some places come the should, some places come may, or some places come can. These have different meanings. They have different interpretation as per the applicability of the standard. Shall is a mandatory requirement. There is no ifs and buts if the shall is written over there in any standard or any requirement in the standard, in any clause, in any sub-clause or any sub-clause. If shall is written, it means it is a mandatory requirement. Should indicate a recommendation, means it is also a requirement, but they have given the should. This may be done this way. Other, if we have done in some other way also, that may also be acceptable, but best way they have written is, it's also a requirement, but in terms of recommendation. May indicate a permission or something, it may happen or may not happen, like that. And can indicate a possibility or capability of the person or something. The person can be competent, like that. Okay. When we'll discuss the standard some clauses, they will be able to better understand that. Now, what are the benefits of any organization to get the accreditation as per ISO IC 17025? And you take from the any accreditation body, what are the benefits? It's a national or international recognition. It's a if we talk about the in terms of testing, it's a reduced cost of retesting. For example, some product is some कोई food product है, वो इंडिया में बन रहा है, यहाँ पे टेस्ट करता है एक लैब, उसको एक्स लैब, वो accredited lab है, that lab is doing the testing and issuing the report that product is good. Then their report can will be accepted throughout the world, wherever these ABs are accepted, MRE is signed there. Mostly nowadays throughout the world, that report will be accepted, and that product need not to be retested, maybe in Europe or America, need not to be retested again, and that will be accepted, like that. This is the meaning of this reduced cost of retesting. Better control of laboratory operations for the top management. This is better control of the laboratory operation. this is for the management, which may not be involved in the day-to-day operation of the laboratory, where the laboratory may be the part of a large organization or a large group, or either it may be a small company, 10, 15 people are working, where the top person may not involve in the day-to-day activity, but if he has implemented this standard, he can come to know what is happening in the lab in different sections. Increase confidence in testing calibration. For the customer point of view, this is increased confidence. If you have accreditation, is a benchmark, third-party certifications, accreditations, then customer has that some other agency has given you approved your results, approved your calibration, approved your facilities or testing. It means you are doing a good job. You have a proper facilities as per the requirement of the standard or the requirement of that particular code of the testing or calibration. Increase profit. When the business increase, customer confidence increase, definitely some profit, some money, that revenue of the laboratory also get increased. So it's a win-win situation for both the industry as well as the person who is owning the laboratory. And validity of test method and provision of reliable data. This is symbol of the reliability. It's to give the weightage in laboratories data, laboratories report results. It's a very good in that way. Now, standards, general requirements, scope, normative references, terms and definitions, and the main requirements in clause 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. We will discuss one by one all those things. First, let's discuss the scope. It can be applied to the regardless the number of people. I think I have already discussed that laboratory. It can be a customer requirements, regulatory authorities, organization, scheme or peer assessment, accreditation bodies. They can also use this as a competence of the laboratories. मीनिंग जो रेगुलेटरी बॉडी है उनके लिए भी कंपिटेंस का एक accreditation होने के बाद में they it become the symbol of the competence of the laboratory. The laboratory is also competent. In terms of references, they give the this is based on the 17,000 series of these standards or conformity assessment, and some vocabulary comes from the ISO Guide 99. And some critical terms which are being used in the standards are only critical I am discussing here, which needs to be understood properly. This once you understand these terms, then it will be easy for you to understand the standard properly. Impartiality, presence of objectivity. मतलब आपको इम्पार्शियल होना है, ईमानदार होना है. मतलब जो भी ऑब्जेक्टिविटी, जो भी सामने एविडेंस है, उसके बेस पे ही डिसीजन आपका होना चाहिए. And that should be correct. It is the meaning of that. That inter-laboratory comparison between by two or more laboratories, two or more laboratories outside. One your laboratory or our laboratory, then other two or more laboratories. This is comparison, and the evaluation of that measurement result based on Z-score or EN value is basically the evaluation. Then intra-laboratory. This is intra. This is the one only in intra and inter. Intra-laboratory within the laboratory. It's a difference performance evaluation of measurement of test or calibration same or using the similar items within the same laboratory. Maybe the different people, maybe the same person work different methods, different equipment, like that. These are also this is the new terms has been added in the standard. Earlier in 2005 version it was not there. Now the another terms may proficiency testing. Evaluation of participant performance against pre-established criteria by means of inter-laboratory comparison. Inter-laboratory comparison जो basic program है जिसको ILC भी बोलते हैं, उसमें two or more laboratories okay, but proficiency program it's a large bigger level program of inter-laboratory comparison. Here also comparison done between the laboratories, but number of laboratories are more and defined criteria. It's a lengthy process. Some PT provider start this program, they have a protocol. According to the protocol, they will go. The activities are being done and the calculations are done by the PT provider. It's a large level of the inter-laboratory comparison program. Okay. The laboratory. What is a laboratory? We are most of the people in the today's attending the program are working in the different laboratories. Laboratory that as per the definition, body that perform one or more of the following activities: calibration, testing, or sampling associated with the subsequent calibration testing. This is the simplest definition of the laboratory. Another thing, the laboratory activities has been come into the standard again and again. Laboratory activity means any activity related to calibration, for the calibration laboratory, related to testing, for any test activity related to testing laboratory, or sampling related to any sampling related activity, maybe pre activity, post activity, or sample preparation also maybe like that. And decision rule. A rule, it's also a new requirement in the standard, a rule that describes how measurement uncertainty will be accounted when stating conformity with a specified requirement. मतलब uncertainty को consider करना है नहीं करना है, it may be decided by the laboratory, by the customer, or some regulatory recommendation is there. Accordingly, laboratory has to follow. It vary case to case actually. Some verification term has been used in the standard. Provision of objective evidence that a given item fulfills specified requirements. You have purchased something, आपने कुछ खरीदा है, कोई इक्विपमेंट खरीदा है, उसका रेंज अपने पीओ में दिया था, you have given a range of say for example 0 to 100 bar or something, or accuracy or least count was this 0.001 like that. So you have to check once it come back physically, you have to check it out कि उसका रेंज वही है, उसका वही लिस्ट काउंट है, उसका वही एक्यूरेसी है. देन फॉर एक्यूरेसी टेस्टिंग you need to do some test or compare with some other reference instruments, maybe like that. That is called a verification. And validation is the further extension of the verification, but the specific requirements are adequate for intended use. Normally the validation terms here in the standard being used for the test methods, where laboratory is required to validate the method. When the clause will come, we will explain that, but it is the extension of the verification process where it is confirmed that the specific requirements are adequate for unintended use. It's a stamping kind of thing. Yes, this whatever the verification is done, that is adequate and fit for the purpose or intended use, like that. Yeah. Okay. Now we'll start the clauses of the standard. We'll start with the clause 4. It is general requirements. Yeah, general requirement 4. It talk about the impartiality. Here laboratory activities we are talking about. It's a shell clause, a shell requirement here, taken by the laboratory impartial and structure managed so as to safeguard the impartiality. Laboratory को ईमानदारी पे किसी को शक नहीं होना चाहिए. Laboratory system should be as such. Laboratory activities कि किसी भी लेबोरेटरी की किसी भी एक्टिविटी की ईमानदारी या उसके compromise of the quality पे there should not be any doubt. Laboratory management has to be committed for the impartialities. First means committed. Laboratory management committed means it will come into the quality policy of the laboratory. Laboratory shall be responsible for the impartiality of its laboratory activities and shall not allow commercial, financial, or other pressure to compromise impartiality. Impartial the laboratory or impartial their person, वो कभी भी उसमें risk नहीं होना चाहिए. If there is any possibility, there is some then laboratory needs to identify risk where the risk of the impartiality is there, which may be in the day-to-day. Maybe I'm just giving an example. When a laboratory is a part of a large organization where company is making some product and that product is being tested in the laboratory and certified, and if production manager is the head of the lab, he will never allow may not like any product will be get fail, right? So there would be some pressure. This is a situation of impartiality, risk to the impartiality. So therefore laboratory has to make certain arrangement that there if any risk is there, how that has been taken care of. Means there should not be any situation where any other person who is responsible for other activities also part of this and make an influence the result. Maybe ownership, this is I'm giving example, ownership or management, personal, कोई relative वाला case नहीं होना चाहिए, shared resources, two different or laboratories sharing the resources, something, financial risk, कि आपने कितना पास किया रिजल्ट उतने पे आपका मतलब कितने how many टेस्ट सैंपल पास अकॉर्डिंगली पेमेंट होगा, फेल का नहीं होगा, like that there will be financial pressure. This should not be that. Irrespective, that will be the condition of the impartiality and the risk. Some contract में condition ऐसा कुछ, marketing including branding and payment of a sales commission, or that I will tell you. If risk to be impartially identified, the laboratory shall be able to demonstrate how to eliminate it and minimize risk. Now, competency. As per the actual data and result that obtained using the established procedure. Established structure of the organization has to be established, safeguard impartiality, mitigate pressure on the people, like that. वो आज के दिन में you have to perform that number of jobs in a day which may not be practically possible. That is the pressure. So that is compromising the impartiality activity. That should not be there. If any such situation there, that's mitigated. So this is the this is the meaning of the requirement of this clause 4.1 impartiality. Any relationship threat is there, that has to be taken care in documentation and the laboratory activities properly. It has to be eliminated. Presence of objectivity here. Objectivity is understood to mean that conflict of interest do not exist. If it is there, some situation is there, it has to be resolved so as not to adversely influence activities of the laboratory. Are free from the people should be free from the conflict of interest, freedom from the bias, freedom from the prejudice, neutrality, fairness. Even मतलब these are the कहीं पे भी कोई इस तरह का कि ये मेरा रिलेटिव का कंपनी है, उसको रिजल्ट का पास करना है, उसको फेल नहीं करना, सैंपल हैज नॉट टू बी सेल. समटाइम्स सेल्स पर्सन कहता है कि इसका अगर इफ वी फेल द सैंपल ऑफ दैट कस्टमर, they will not give us the order again, something like that. That kind of situation may be there. So sales person should not influence the test results decision. If it is there, it is a conflict of interest situation there. So all such gaps are there in any laboratory activities working, that has to be plugged in properly. Something more about the conflict of interest. If you transact with a customer who is associate or partner in business and interest of your associate, if you are an employee that transact with the supplier, which is your relative, there may be situation. When you misuse any information from your job for personal gain, that may be the situation. If you accept a gift from a customer that is too much in value, easily secretly, that tempts you to do a favor, known as a intimidation. And these are the situations of conflict of interest, just to give you the understanding of what is the meaning of conflict of interest. Some further some examples of no conflict of interest. You are not auditing your work itself. अपना ऑडिट खुद नहीं करना है. That is no conflict of interest. Detachment. Technicians are not involved in marketing where they perform the calibration. Freedom from the bias. You are not favoring any requests that involve falsification of results. Fairness. Companies not pressuring you financially. Like that. These are the impartial examples of some impartiality activities maybe in the lab. I think more I have already discussed the impartiality. Some statement is required in the quality policy about the impartiality. All personnel, जिसमें that should include कि all personnel including top management will sign, something like that. The quality policy is required. Confidentiality. Whatever the information gained from the customer, that will be kept confidential. not shared with any third party or any other customer or any other person who is not involved, external person specifically, who is not concerned with that, or who can uh, misuse that information. It is the responsibility of the laboratory. इसमें legal requirement भी है and regulatory requirements are also there. Depends upon the type of the laboratory. If pharma samples are there or maybe food samples are there, so it may be required maybe little different, but क्योंकि regulatory drug control authority may also get involved. But are there requirement for the confidentiality. Similarly, in 175 says in journal, whatever the customer requirements are there, that has to be kept confident and may not be open to the public except which information generally available on the public, or until unless customer allow you to use that information, or when any laboratory is required by law or authorized by contractual arrangement to release confidential information, the customer individual concerned shall, unless provided by law, be notified. कस्टमर से परमिशन लेकर के इसके इंफॉर्मेशन को कहीं शेयर करना है. Maybe some information about the customer obtained from the sources of the customer, maybe some complainant, maybe just like a regulator, shall be confidential between the customer and the laboratory. Personal, any contractor, personal external body, maybe some external auditor, for example, he comes for the auditing you, and he comes to see कि आप किस customer के लिए काम कर रहे हैं. That has to be keep confident. That confidential arrangement has to be signed with him. The laboratory is similarly customer, when you receive the sample of the customer, if customer का कितना sample pass हुआ fail हुआ, that is a confidential information that need not to be shared in the public. बाहर नहीं जाना चाहिए. Some confidential things are legally enforceable. Commitment for the management of information obtained created during the performance of laboratory activities. Inform customer if any public disclosure has come up or some third party communication requirement is there, that has to be discussed with the customer first. I think we have understood the clause 4.1 and 4.2. So just a small quiz, people can answer. Those have understood, they can answer in the chat box. And right answer I'll also share. Is the standard is applicable to the calibration laboratories testing, both testing and calibration? And a correct answer is the C. It's applicable to both testing and calibration laboratories. What can compromise impartiality within a laboratory? A, B, C, or D? What you would like to say on that thing? Maybe you can check the answer. The correct answer is the D. Now, within this ISO 17025, impartiality is defined as, I have given some 4 optional answers. Correct answer is the A, presence of objectivity. Okay, now let's do how the clues, the structural requirements. Now we have the general process system. Now structure, what could be the structure of the organization or laboratory should look like? So first is the legal entity. Lab must have a legal entity. That is the first requirement. And laboratory means our organization who wants to be apply for the accreditation as per ISO 105 must have a legal entity, must be registered with LLP, partnership, or whatever the apply allowed by as per your accreditation body. So private limited company like that, these are the legal entity examples. Laboratory shall be legal entity and shall identify the management that has overall responsibility of the laboratory. Laboratory का head कौन होगा, maybe some quality manager or technical kind of functions जो key positions होंगी वो कौन किस किसके पास होंगे. But the standard doesn't talk about the now technical manager, quality manager का functions नहीं है. But laboratory is free to have these functions if they want, or standard has technical management and quality management system functions or laboratory activities. Now, further to the structural requirements, here conform in this standard has introduced requirement for the laboratory to identify range of laboratory activities for which it conforms to this standard. ISO IC 175 means scope. What is the scope of the laboratory activity? What are the ranges? What are the product group? What are the ranges? What are the limitations? What are the detection limits? What are the CMCs, uncertainty, like that? And the claim will be restricted to their defined ranges only. This will be exclude any external जो आपका contract किसी के साथ में है externally contracted subcontracting activities है, that will be excluded from that. Just simple. Basically, what is your scope? For to the structural requirements, this 5.4, the laboratory shall carry out its activity in such a way as to meet the requirement of the standard 17025. Also meets the requirement of the customer, the regulatory authorities, and any organization providing you the recognitions. Standard का करना है, the customer regulatory authority, maybe you can say, or recognitions, maybe accreditation body, maybe NABL, LEFDAS, or IQS, whatever maybe accreditation body is there. There, unka requirement you have to comply the customer and regulatory, because you regulatory means your company is legally identifiable, means legal entity है, private limited company, तो उससे regulatory requirements है वो भी आपको comply करना है. Then if you are a suppose biological testing lab, then some hazardous waste है, chemical testing lab hazardous waste है आपका, तो then that you have to manage that thing also. That may come hazard waste management, maybe some regulatory requirement may be there in that way. And drug control authority, sometimes if you are doing the pharmaceutical test, so drug control authority will come into the picture. Though unka jo requirement, that will also has to be complied apart from the requirement of the 175 and customer and accreditation. And it shall include laboratory activities. You can do it permanent places, site away from the permanent places, maybe at site means customer premises में आप कर सकते हैं. It may be a temporary or mobile facility or at a customer facility. It can be done anywhere. Yeah. And 5.5, the laboratory shall define organization management structure of the lab and its place in the prior organization, if any. If it is a part of a large organization, then in an organization chart where the laboratory exists, that relationship between the management, top management, technical operations, support activities, what is the interrelation? The authority, responsibility, authority, interrelationship for all lab personnel who manage, perform, verify all the activities of the laboratories has to be identified clearly and documented. Now, here a laboratory needs to document procedure to extend necessary to the consistent application of the laboratory activities and the validity of the results. Wherever the requirement of the procedure is, that they have to document. The extent the details, the documentation is up to the laboratory, subject to the conditions of 5.5. Okay. Laboratory shall have personnel. Now, personnel who, irrespective of other responsibility, have the authority and resources. This is not the requirement of the personnel in general. It's the requirement of in the structure point of view. Because I'm just give an example. Maybe laboratory is a part of a large organization. So you may, in such cases, the person, maybe the GM of the company and manager of the company, he is being given some additional tasks of the laboratory related activities. In such cases, so laboratory shall have a personnel. For the laboratory activities, there should be personnel should be required. Irrespective of other responsibilities in the organization they might be doing, they shall have a authority and resources to carry out the implementation, maintenance, the improvement of the manual system, identification to deviation, and initiation of any action to prevent or minimize such deviations, and reporting to the lab management. Maybe we are talking about the technical manager, quality manager kind of people, and ensure the effectiveness of the laboratory activities. structural requirement. Laboratory management shall ensure that communication of the laboratory activities is spread out throughout the organizations at required place. Customer का requirement क्या है, जो test और calculations कर रहा है, that person should know what is the requirement of the customer. That requirement should go to him. Communication has to be placed. System has to be placed in such a way. What is the mean requirement of the customer? Then integrity of the main system is maintained. When any changes happen, a customer requirement change over, then it has to be communicated to all concerned people, like that. Clause 5 in general requires the organization chart, some management responsibilities, and document the responsibilities of the laboratory personnel, and recognize as a legal entity hona chahiye. The range of activities or a scope has to be defined, and laboratory has to commit to the effective management system. And basic requirement of the people, basically this is the people ka structure, what should be there, then authority has to be defined, and the key resources are required, that is will be resources required will be discussed in the upcoming slide, but structure point of view of what should be there, that was only the part of the clause 5. Clause 5 may let's have some small quiz. Lab shall define organization chart, organization structure, management structure, what has to be defined. And the correct answer is the C. Both has to be defined. And if we talk about the question number 2, the laboratory management shall ensure, then there take place regarding the effective management system. What should be there? It should be the communication. Answer is B. The laboratory shall be a legal entity, part of a legal entity, either A or B or none of them. Definitely answer is the C. It can be both, can be possible. Legal entity or part of a legal entity. Now, 5 we have discussed the clause general and structural requirements. Now we are going to discuss the resource requirements. Resource. What are the resources required for running a laboratory? Testing, either testing or calibration. Resource in general, we talk about what are the resources. Laboratory shall have available. The resources means personal. The facilities means building and ACs and other blah blah. You can say table, chair, everything. Then equipment, system, and support services necessary to perform the laboratory. In nutshell, all these things are required, and these are the further clause of the standard of the clause 6. Personal, facilities, equipment, like that, and some support services which are essential to perform the laboratory activities. Now, 6.2 personal. Laboratory shall have the personal. Okay. Then, what kind of personal laboratory shall have? What qualification would be there? The laboratory has to define the competence criteria for all the positions in the laboratory. Maybe the manager level, maybe the technician or calibration engineer level, senior level or assistant, whatever may be there. It has to be defined in terms of education, qualification, experience, skill, training, and the technical knowledge. Okay, what kind of technical knowledge they should have apart from the skill or something. Then it has to be defined, documented, and accordingly the people will be recruited or placed in for that particular position in the organization, and that will be reviewed again in terms of the whether the same company's requirements needs to be updated or added something, because some equipment, new technology has come up. So you may need to change the maybe some qualification, maybe some education, maybe some technical knowledge you need to change, like update it regularly, like that. These competence required for the mainly review contract, customer के requirement को understand करने के लिए, maybe some sampling, test और calculations करने के लिए, uncertain calculations करने के लिए, some purchasing, even results को review करने के लिए, और management मतलब supervise करने के लिए, to maybe manage technical manager or quality manager, like that. That position I'm talking about. The personal. Laboratory shall have a competent personnel for selection, training, supervision, authority, all these things has to be defined properly, including their analysis of the results, result review authority has to be defined. monitoring the staff competence, witness how it will be done. Can be done through wetness measurements, results particularly in ILC, inter-laboratory. This could be the ways, even the some findings in audit also. This could be the way of the monitoring the staff competence. Facilities shall have all the required facilities required for performing the test and calibration. Facilities means building, ACs, all whatever may be required. Everything has to be there. And laboratory shall monitor, control, and record all such specific environment conditions required for test and calibration as per the laboratory activities. And some wherever the some uh, incompatible activities are there. Some, for example, the chemical testing is there, then some physical testing is there. So it has to be separated effectively because these are incompatible. और calibrations की बात करें तो thermal calibrations or dimensions calibration cannot be done in the same lab. It has to be separated like that. And equipment. Laboratory shall have all the quality equipment and access to the equipment. Available means available instrument has to be available with all the software, all the calibrations, all the reference data, whatever chemicals, whatever the requirement of the testing and calibration of correct performance of the laboratory activities has to be available with the laboratory. If laboratory want to use it outside the laboratory activities, laboratory premises, it is also possible. There, in such cases, lab shall have a procedure for handling and transport of the storage of the standards. Equipment. Laboratory shall have a system to verify whether instruments is of good quality when it comes from the calibration, or should have with the good accuracy. And handling can be procedure. Laboratory must have the proper procedure for handling, storage, and maintenance of the laboratory equipment. Whether it's calibration status, these are the some basic requirements. Laboratory has to have the records. All these records होना चाहिए. उनका calibrations कब कराया है, किसने calibrations किया, पूरा traceability must measurement traceability has to maintain intermediate checks, status, calibration equipment records, maintenance, whatever is there has to be maintained by the laboratory. Now, identify two criteria that determine when calibration of equipment is required. The measurement accuracy, measurement uncertainty affect the validity of the reported results. Calibration of the equipment is required to establish the metrological traceability of the reported results. Basically, instruments आप calibrate, आपका एक तो accurate होना चाहिए, and accuracy and uncertainty भी उसका correct होना चाहिए, considering the uncertainty, and the traceability has to be maintained properly, and the instrument have a proper calibration program. कैलिब्रेशन कैलेंडर उसका होना चाहिए इक्विपमेंट के लिए, प्रॉपरली उसका लेबलिंग होना चाहिए, कोडिंग होना चाहिए इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स के लिए, सो दैट के अगर कोई इंस्ट्रूमेंट खराब हो गया दैट हैज टू बी आइसोलेटेड फ्रॉम द यूज. गलत आउट ऑफ द ऑर्डर इंस्ट्रूमेंट यूज में नहीं होना चाहिए, इट हैज टू बी लेबल प्रॉपरली. और अगर इंस्ट्रूमेंट के साथ कुछ प्रॉब्लम है तो उसका पीछे पास्ट में कोई गलत रिजल्ट, एनी रॉन्ग रिजल्ट हैज नॉट बीन इश्यूड टू एनी कस्टमर, that has to be taken care of properly. Uska investigation if required has to be done by the lab. Intermediate check has to be done by the lab to have the confidence in the calibration result of test issued by the lab. Intermediate checks has to be done to maintain the confidence in that. Maybe with the some other reference instruments के साथ compare the results of the calibration of your master in between their calibration validity. Reference values corrections है that has to be taken care properly, and कोई correction value has to be updated when calibration दोबारा हुआ, या in other words the correction value is updated, and updated has to be used so that otherwise your result will may not be valid. Maybe any instrument has the some option of adjustment or some set of values can be done. It has to be prevented during the use. Post calibration, no set of values should be done. Otherwise, your result will not be correct, not be valid. Now, equipment के record has to be retained. Calibrations के record, उनके maintenance के record has to be maintained. किस use location में use किया है, उनके software versions के record has to be maintained by the laboratory for a longer period of time, maybe till the equipment in use or service or some period defined by the lab. It depends upon the lab to lab. Accordingly, they can define their calibration history or something has to be maintained properly. Now, metrological traceability. All calibration or test done by the laboratory has to be traceable to SI unit. To achieve this, basically, all equipment must be calibrated from the competent lab. And competent or there are three ways. Either competent lab say you have to complete your calibrate your instrument, and you have to, in case of chemical testing or something, well, CRMs are there. CRM has to be used. Lab has to use the certified CRMs is provided by the competent producer with proper traceability to SI units or direct comparison realization from the national international standards. In this, as per these standards, a competent laboratory is any national laboratory. In India, like NPL is a national laboratory, National Physical Laboratory, NPL is a competent laboratory or any laboratory accredited as per ISO IC 17025. It can be considered as a competent laboratory. Then if you are getting your instruments calibrated, masters calibrated from the accredited laboratory or NPL, means you have established your metrological traceability to SI units. If we talk about the SI units, this chain of the international metrological traceability chain, ultimate end is the BIPM. Below is the NMI, National Metrology Institutes. Then national standards laboratories like NPL. Then ISO IC 17025 accredited labs. Then equipment manufacturing company. And at last company product, which we are using, maybe in daily use or something, anything we are using, even a pen also. The whole exercise is done basically to make the product safe, reliable, and accurate. This is the main significance of all this chain of the traceability and laboratory accreditation to make product safe, reliable, and make our life as comfortable as possible. Yeah. Now next is 6.6 externally provided services. Externally provided services maybe whatever the purchasing services you are doing or something. Laboratory activities, maybe some competent supplier has to be there. It has to be controlled through this. What any activity which you are not doing itself, you are taking the external services which affect your laboratory activities has to be taken care properly as per the standard requirement. Maybe, for example, the calibration of your instruments. You are not doing. You may be doing some external agency. So you have to take care of that. How you will take care? You need to check the scope of that laboratory first, their accreditation status, their CMC values, before giving them instrument for the calibration, so that your scope should not get impacted. This way you have to do it. Fully range are covered. All they have the proper facility, complete range. All ranges are there. Like that. This is one of the example. Some testing services you are using, some other maintenance services you are using, some PT testing, ILC or PT testing, even internal auditing you are getting done. And that person has to be competent. Competent means the internal auditor training certificate has to be there. Like that. That person has to be impartial. So all these requirements will come into the picture, play here. And if anything is there, that has to be communicated requirement to the customer if required. Some acceptance criteria has to be discussed and set for the approve with the service provider. What product, maybe your equipment supplier also comes into that. क्या product क्या लेना है उनसे, कर services, calibration services, maintenance services. What is your acceptance criteria if you have? Then that has to, then accordingly you have to review it, and evaluation has to be done, and has to be communicated to your service provider as well. maybe we can have a question of personal, what is the personal requirement, string clause number, that is one. The laboratory shall ensure that the person have to perform laboratory activities for which they are responsible. Definitely answer is the competence, and the confirm clause number for A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D. These are the clause number. You can just maybe check your knowledge. Okay. Now, clause 7. Clause 7 is nothing but the main clause of the standard. We have discussed the clause 4, 5, and 6. These are the clauses mainly pertains to the organization's requirement. 4 general requirements, 5 structural requirement, and process requirement. What required to do the actual calibration or testing activities. Clause 7 is the actual testing and calibration activity requirement. What is the process requirement? It means actual thing has to be done in clause 7. Whatever testing calibration you are doing, it has to be done as per the requirement of 7. This is the actual doing clause of any laboratory. Laboratory shall have a procedure for the review. 7.1 if you are talking about review. Customer का if whenever requirement of the customers come, customer कोई भी requirement आएगा तो पहले ही आपको पता होना चाहिए आपको करना क्या है, उसकी requirement क्या है. The customer before taking the order, before confirming the order, in requirements of capability, आपका capability क्या है, whether you have the all the resources required for that, वो machine है आपके पास, you have that scope, do you have that facility, do you have the people, that instrument is here in working condition, and you have that much of work availability of that period of time. Customer बोलता है मेरे को आज रात में ही करना है calibration, whether you have that capability to perform in that night itself, like that, maybe that nick of time. And record of reviews, whatever the review comes, maybe service request form is generally used in the laboratories to review all this document, all those things, and record of reviews has to be there. And the customer has to sign, and you have to either customer submit this form to you with signature, then you review it, some reviewer in your organization has to review it, sign it over there, yes, reviewed, yes, okay, we can confirm that we can meet the requirement of the customer. That is the first thing. Then inform to the customer when method requested by the customer is not appropriate outcome. There may be situation customer wants it has to be done this much of accuracy or this much method has to be used. Maybe he is asking about some GIS standard, Japanese standard. Whether you have a scope for that or not, you have to check it out and confirm to the customer. And the most important thing is this statement of conformity and decision rule. Whether customer wants a decision rule has to be given and conformity statement of conformity is given. If requested by the customer, then you have to give. There is no ifs and buts. If there is any gap between your understanding and customer requirements, that has to be resolved before executing the order. That is the first thing of any laboratory to start doing the work for any customer. Then selection, verification, validation of methods. Now, once you've taken the order from the customer, then which method has to be used? You should know. And the international method or national method or any recognized specification has to be followed. International method, OIM, DKD, like in national standard, BIS methods are there. You should have a up-to-date method with you. Latest versions of the method should be available. An appropriate method has to be used by the laboratory. If customer has not specified any method, so you are the better expert. You need to define, you select the appropriate method and use it, which is valid and meets the requirement of the customer and the intended test or calibration procedure or method, or for that particular applications. And verify if required any method is there. Introducing a new method, you need to verify it for the required performance. Verification, अगर कोई नया method आप new scope you want to introduce, you need to verify it. But if you want to use any additional method to develop your method, that needs to be validated. Any non-standard method or any laboratory developed method or any standard method outside its intended use needs to be validated. Meaning all methods are need not to be developed, validated only if there are three conditions: non-standard method, laboratory development method, which method is scratched nowhere available in the world, you are developing your own, and any standard method. Suppose कोई standard method available है, I'm just giving an example. For example, वर्नियर कैलिपर के लिए 500 mm तक के लिए method available है 365 for example, but you want to calibrate up to for 2000 mm. In that case, you need to validate your method. As per that method, you need to make your procedure and validation. The procedure has to be followed separately, but you need to validate that in whatever the method you are developing, following, it's correct and giving you the valid results. Okay, yeah. Then you have to retain the records of all the validations. Sampling, in case of sampling, some sampling plan, sampling methods, and records has to be retained. These are the requirements. 7.4, handling of test and calibration items. There should be a system or a procedure for the receiving, transportation, handling, protection, storage, retention, calibration, disposal of all the calibration of test items as per your laboratory activities. You should have a proper EUT marking, some record, any abnormality is there, you have a system to document it and discuss with the customer. Yeah. If there is any deviation, that has to be discussed with the customer and has to be resolved properly. Technical records. When the clause 7.5 comes, technical records. What are records? First record is the technical observation sheet. Any drive data means calculations, any sample tables you are using in calculations of achieving your results. Any reference data, that is drive data, reference books, IE standards, they will come the technical records in terms of that. Master calibration records, staff records, copy of each test and calibration reports. These are the main technical records. Other records may be manual system records and other things, or other maybe maintenance record may also be there. But these are the main key records for each lab. Measurement uncertainty, evaluation of measurement uncertainty. The clause is to evaluate the measurement uncertainty. Evaluate means it is not the requirement to calculate. Calculate only happens when there is a formula. For example, A equal to B plus C. B is given, C is given, we can calculate it. That is A. Simple. That is calculation. But when we have to apply our brain in my laboratory, basic principles, formulas are there, but in what are the components for my laboratory are applicable, for which temperature, which mera master is different, its uncertainty is different, its accuracy is different, my environment is different as compared to maybe other lab. So this way we have to evaluate it properly. What are the components applicable to my lab? Because in dimensions calibration, just give an example, in dimensions calibration, for force measurement, for basic instruments, the component may be little limited, 5-6 component may be there. But when we talk about the precise calibrations, for example, slip gauge calibration or some other, in that cases, the number of contributing factors may be more. Therefore, we need to evaluate it. The formulas given in the different guidelines, we have to combine it, document the procedure for our applications. This means this is the meaning of evaluation. All calibration lab, it is a mandatory requirement. All calibration lab has to do evaluate the uncertainty measurement for each and every all calibrations, including their in-house calibrations. For testing laboratory, has been it's they should know includes essential same requirement for the testing laboratory. Testing laboratory, they has to know and develop the system for all the testing laboratory, but may not be required to do the each and every testing. But for a similar testing, they need to develop, identify the correction, identify the sources, and uncertainty procedure. They also needs to have, but calculation for each and every parameter, each and every test point they need to do. For example, multimeter has a multiple test points. For each and every test point, they have to calculate the uncertainty. But in testing, it may not be required in that way. Okay. Now, validity of the ensuring the validity of the results. How to ensure my laboratory results are valid? I always say I am always doing a good job, good job, good job. But whether when I compare myself from other laboratories, मैं दूसरों के साथ जब अपने आप को कंपेयर करता हूँ, क्या मेरा रिजल्ट भी वैसा ही मिलता है जैसा अदर्स का है जो मेरे से अच्छे लेबोरेटरी से? The best things are inter-laboratory comparison, ILC, PTs, are the some testing of blind samples, intermediate checks, replicate testing, replicate calibrations. These has to be done in the planned interval and review the results so that we can come to know if the results of these there's some criteria has to be established, and if results are coming within the criteria, I can say yes, my results are good. I can say this is the quality assurance activity of the uh, assuring the results of the laboratories. One of the key, I already said, pre-T and ILC as per the predefined criteria has to be there. Yeah. Reporting the results. All results has to be reported accurately, clearly, unambiguously, and objectively as per the standard, as many other things to report it. And apart from this, statement of conformity has to be reported. Whenever it's a when clause, when is it required to be clause? If customer wants this, he has to report it. And if you standard describe it, you have to report it. For example, the for torque reach calibration in the standard says if there is a mandatory, you have to define the class of the that class type A, type B, then class of the torque range, and some permissible error limit is given. So you have to confirm in which it is pass or fail. It's a mandatory. Weights calibrations, mass calibrations, even E2, these are the classes are there. So you have to confirm in which class it is falling. It means it's a statement of conformity. This is a mandatory given in the standard itself, in the standard guideline itself, standard document itself, standard procedure itself. Accordingly, wherever there is a requirement of the giving the statement of conformity, you have to give. And accordingly, what is the procedure, whether to consider the uncertainty or not to consider the uncertainty, that is to be taken care of separately. Okay. Which specific standards you are giving these, which decision rule you are applying, that has to be reported properly. Reporting the statement, ILAC model, simple pass fail model, any model you can apply it. There are different techniques that are available. I've already done a lecture on this figure. I cannot discuss too much on that thing. It's a different subject altogether. And complaints. When you do the work, issue the report to the customer, then there may be a possibility of the complaint. You have received the order, you have done the calibration, issue the report to the customer, there may be possibility of the complaints. Then because this standard is in systematic way, when complaints is there, you have to acknowledge the complaint first, then recheck it for the genuineness of the complaint. If found genuine, then you have to take some actions on that, investigate it, and some action may be taken. Customer handling procedure has to be there. You need to take care of that. Non-conforming activity. When sometimes there is in some people I find there is some confusion about the what is non-conforming. What I understand, any activity which does not meets requirement of your own procedure, लेबोरेटरी की जो प्रोसीजर है उसका रिक्वायरमेंट वो फुलफिल नहीं करता है and agreed customer requirement भी meet नहीं करता है. It means anything which is not confirming your own procedure and the customer requirements, that is a non-conforming. I just give an example. Customer send you three temperature sensors with indicators. Three, same range, same make, same model, but requested different temperature points. एक के लिए अलग टेम्परेचर पॉइंट दिया, दूसरे के लिए अलग टेम्परेचर पॉइंट दिया, तीसरे के लिए अलग टेम्परेचर पॉइंट दिया. But while doing the performance of the calibration, you miss that. The calibration engineer missed that, oversight that, because he considering the same make, same model, same range, it means calibration point will also be same. This is the non-conforming, because here you are not meeting the agreed requirement of the customer. Maybe your own procedure also, because in SRF it will be mentioned over there what are the reading points would be there for that sensor 1, sensor 2, sensor 3, like that. So this is, it will be in both the cases it will be the non-conforming. Okay. After any non-conforming work, some investigation has to be done. What is the nature of non-conformance? If required work is recalled, means dobara you have to test it or calibrate it again, and customer has to be informed. That action you can take. And control of data management system. Nowadays, many of the organizations are running on the some online software, something. Or if you are not having online software system, then you are maintaining the data in the PC on server. Like, so all the data, whatever the data of the laboratory related data is there, what are the information of the all the jobs you have done in the past, that has to be maintained properly. It talks about that. Validity of the data has to be remained properly, protected, unauthorized access, safeguard, tampering, loss has to be maintained properly. There should not be any question of the integrity of the data. Data loss नहीं होना चाहिए. ऑफ साइट अगर किसी सर्वर पे डेटा है तो दैट हैज टू बी कंट्रोल विद योर सर्वर प्रोवाइडर के साथ कॉन्फिडेंशियली एग्रीमेंट हैज टू बी साइन लाइक दैट. द डाटा बैकअप प्रॉपर्ली होना चाहिए लाइक दैट. इट हैज टू बी either it's a hard copy, soft copy, whatever kind of data, and it is to be readily available by soft way or hard way, whatever way you want to take. और कैलकुलेशन चेक्स जो भी इसमें हो रहे हैं सॉफ्टवेयर के थ्रू चेक कैलकुलेशंस हो रहे हैं और मैनुअली यू आर डूइंग, that data checks transfer has to be maintained properly. Either LIMS, either you are using LIMS or non-compriser, already discussed it. If we talk about the some clauses requirements of the standard, these are the some quizzes there. So you can just check your knowledge. I cannot discuss too much in that thing now. I think you have understood. If you have not understood, you can just go through this again and you'll come to know, you'll definitely be able to do that, I think. Yeah. There are further some detailed questions, some tricky questions about the clause 7. According to methods, method validations के बारे में है, then non-conforming activities के बारे में. You'll be able to learn from these questions as well. Okay, my area is to complete this training first. When we talk about the clause 8, there are two options, option A and option B. Option B, I'll talk first. If a company is already having, laboratory is already having ISO 9001 certification, then this clause 8 may not be applicable. It can be covered through ISO 9001. If the company or laboratory establish, document, maintain, acknowledge, implement all the levels of the laboratory, address the competence, impartiality, and consistency of the operation, make a reference or link to the other documents, is to access by the relevant person. What are the document system is there? जो जिसको use करना है, it should be accessible to that person who has to use it. So then only he can be able to perform as per that system of the company. Some evidence of commitment to the development and implementation of the management system has to be, and continuous improvement has to be there. Control of management system documents. Lab shall have ensure that and review. Laboratory के जो documents हैं, maybe quality manual, quality procedures. This standard doesn't want the quality manual होना चाहिए. You can have a lab manual or whatever the name, you can have it. So, and quality procedure, SOPs, WIs, whatever the kind of documents you have, all these documents has to be reviewed and approved by authorized person. And periodic review होना चाहिए. Any changes that happens, then has to be identified. Return status visible होना चाहिए, available होना चाहिए, point of use, and uniquely identified. And unintended use of obsolete document has to be prevented from all the places of the use. When we talk about the control of records, the records which are generated from the once you do the activity, testing activities, and implement the system, some field records, manually field records will be there, system generated records will be there. All these records will be legible, identifiable, and retrievable. मतलब जब उसको हम रिट्रीव करना चाहें, जब दोबारा से देखना चाहें ऑडिट के पर्पस के लिए, रिव्यू पर्पस के लिए, that has to be available and has to be stored properly, protected and retained for a definite period. Backup, अगर soft की बात करते हैं तो it has to be backup, archive has to be there, and responsibility for maintenance of all record shall be defined. Who is responsible for the maintenance of the records has to be defined properly. Action to the risk and opportunities. Risk-based thinking. The standards.
I'm sorry, your slides are not visible.
Slides are not visible. When? Means when?
So slides were removed.
When removed?
Just 2 minutes back.
Okay, I'll just reshare the screen again.
Please.
Okay, maybe I'm just, because I have not touched the screen. Maybe entire screen. I'm just sharing. Okay, visible now?
No, not yet.
From my side, it is sharing.
But no, I am not able to see.
Okay. Can others confirm if they are being able to see?
Yeah,
Anybody?
now it is visible. Now it is visible.
Okay.
Thank you.
What is visible now?
The whole.
Yes, sir. Not visible. Yeah, it is visible.
Visible now?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
But it is a whole screen, so kindly make it PPT.
Okay, I made the PPT mode now.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so from which slide I should start now?
8.1. From starting, sir.
Resource.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
8.1.
8.1. So
Please.
8.1 was there is an option of option A and option B. If organization is accredited, laboratory is accredited, certified as per ISO 9001, then option B has to be taken care. In that case, the clause 8 will not be applicable from the 170 to 5. It will be gone through the ISO 9001. But if laboratory is not certified as per ISO 9001, then option A has to be followed and will be applicable. In that case, the clause 8.2 to 8.9 will be applicable to the laboratory. What are these 8.2 are there? System documentation means laboratory shall have a policy and objectives has to be documented, purpose defined hona chahiye, document has to be available, and acknowledge and implement it all the levels of the laboratory organization, address the competence requirement, impartiality and consistency of the operation. Means quality policy has to be defined and top management has to given the commitment for the for the development and implementation of the management system for this ISO 17025 and continually improve the its effectiveness. And 8.3, if we talk about it is a documentation system requirement, means document control kind of thing, you can say, control of the management system documents. Documents could be, since this standard doesn't talk about the quality manual now, so laboratory can name any lab manual or any name, any nomenclature they can have it. I'm just saying it may be quality manual, quality procedure, SOPs, WIs, whatever you are having applicable to you. There's all these has to be reviewed and approved by the authorized personnel. And periodic review of these documents and changes, availability at points of use has to be ensured. This has to be identified uniquely, and obsolete documents has to be prevented from the use. And 8.4, control of records. When we do some testing, calibration activities and other laboratory related activities associated with the testing calibration, there's some records will be generated either from the service request or actual doing the calibrations. Records will be generated. All these records has to be legible, identifiable, and retrievable. May be maintained in the soft form or a hard form, whatever the form it may be, has to be stored, protected, and retained for definite period. In case of soft form or backup or archive has to be maintained, and responsibility for maintenance of all these records has to be defined. Now, since this standard has been included new clause or risk-based thinking and opportunity has been added into that, the laboratory has to identify where the risk possible risks are there in the management system. Laboratory has to plan and implement actions to address risk and opportunities, and establish a basis for increasing the effectiveness of the quality management system, achieving improved results and prevent negative effect. And maybe laboratory is responsible for deciding which risk and opportunity need to be addressed. It has to be decided by the laboratory. Okay, this risk is applicable to us or not. Okay. Now improvement. Laboratory has shall identify what are the areas of improvement can be done. It may be from the feedback form, complaints, internal audits, or management review, maybe different forms of different sources. It may can come up, and laboratory has to improve their system and corrective action. Whenever any activity which happens, which any non-conforming activity is identified, correct internal audit में problem होता है, then ANSI आती है, then laboratory has to initiate the corrective action. And the purpose of corrective action is not to just do the correction. Purpose is to eliminate the problem और and stop its recurrence. वो दोबारा प्रॉब्लम होना ही नहीं चाहिए. पहले तो उसको प्रॉब्लम को खत्म करना, फिर वो दोबारा प्रॉब्लम आए नहीं सरफेस में कभी, ऐसा एक्शन लेना है लेबोरेटरी को. Laboratory has to stop the recurrence of the problem. And corrective action, definition of the problem, investigation, root cause analysis, selection, implementation of the action, monitoring the effectiveness of action. What are the action you've taken? You have to monitor whether the action is effective or not. If required, you can revise your action again and update any risk and opportunity is there, and any changes required to do with the management system that can also be done. And internal audit. Internal audit, lab shall conduct internal audit at planned intervals to determine whether the management system is effective. Basically, there are, to my mind, there are three main requirements for doing any internal audit: whether the system is documented as per the ISO IC 17025, whether the laboratory has implemented the system effectively as per ISO IC 17025, whether the laboratory has maintained in day-to-day activity the system as per the requirement of ISO IC 17025. Means पहले document करना है, then implement करना है, then it has to be maintained in day-to-day activities. This is the purpose of activity, to ensure all these things are being taken care by the laboratory properly. And management review. These are basically the last clause of this standard. Then a management review is an activity which has to be done at the planned interval to ensure that the laboratory activities are suitable to doing the laboratory operation is adequate and it's are effective. Whatever the system is laboratory has implemented, the system is continuing suitable, adequate है, it's effective for the purpose of the organization, purpose of the laboratory. And management review generally it has to be done in a once in a year as per the standard requirement. There are some agenda points are there, what has to be covered in the agenda when the top management sits and discuss all these points, fulfillment of object, personal feedback, results of any risk, internal audit and sees internal audit, outcome of the internal audit, and customer audit, customer observation, customer complaints, and many other activities can be discussed over there. Majority of things are written over there, but any additional things any company wants or laboratory wants, that can be added into that. And there should be some outcome has to be decided. What is the outcome of this activity? This is the input. Outcome, decision, what decision has been taken? Who is responsible? What is the time frame? That has to be decided and documented in the meeting itself, in terms of minutes of the meeting, generally we called it. And that has to be someone, it is the responsibility generally the quality manager to check whether the अगर किसी को कोई responsibility दिया गया है, that person has taken the action in that particular time frame or not. So this and has to be documented. If there is any delay, what is the reason of delay? Some equipment has to be procured, for example. The supplier has delayed something. So it has to be documented like that. And some other things, maybe some questions of the clause 8, we can have standard requirement document control is in 8.4 like that. This is also another question. The lab shall address the competent and partial and consistent operation of the laboratory. What could be the answer? Yes. And confirm the clause number of the different control of records, control of the management system document, risk percentage, improvement, audit like that. You can check your answer from there. And here we have discussed the clause 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. The entire management system, entire system requirements we have discussed here. Now some other things there are I'd like to cover, just touch upon. Just Ashutosh ji, I have just 2-3 minutes. Just give me. I'll just couple of more slides there. 2-3 slides. I'll cover, finish it. Yeah. Essential procedure requirement in the standards are there are 50 plus references are there procedure, but documented procedures are required. These are the main essential. Minimum you have to document. Additionally, whatever you want to have it, that is your choice. Similarly, documents required, like the scope of the laboratory activities. Laboratory shall documents procedure. Whatever the situations there where documents are there are 12 documents are required by the standard. Additionally, whatever you want to have it, it is your choice, but minimum these are the 12 documents are required, like the statement of conformity specification standard provided. Laboratory shall document the decision rule employed. Decision rule you have to document it like that. These are the documentation requirements are given as the 12 situations. Similarly, records required. There are the 8 situations, 8 requirements of the standards. 8 shall requirements are there where you have to require the records. 8. Additionally, whatever you want to have it, you can no problem with that. And there are certain requirements where you have to retain the record for some definite period, defined period. So similarly for that period, there are the 14 situations are there, 14 requirements are there, where you need to retain the records as per the ISO IC 17025. You can maintain, retain n number of records, but these are the minimum where you have to retain the record. Example, retain records for the audit programs implementation, non-conforming code, like this. These are the things. Okay, this I have completed my presentation. Now, if anything is there, so we can discuss. That also any query or any question there or about this program, we can discuss it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Meher Abbas, for your beautiful and wonderful presentation. Really, it was wonderful. And I would like to thank on behalf of all the participants and on my personal behalf. It was a wonderful program and one of the best presentation we have. I would like to request kindly share this PPT, please. And I would like to request all participants to switch on your video, because there are only 100 participants whose photographs I can take. Rest of the participants cannot be taken as a panelist, and we cannot take their photographs. I'm sorry for others who could not be make the panelist. I'm sorry for that, because your photograph could not be taken. Thank you very much. Now this I would like to first of all congratulate all of you, all the participants, for this festival season. Happy Diwali to all of you. We have very wonderful programs, very wonderful festivals in India for the outsiders. Sir, we have very good programs or very good festivals in India like this Deepavali. We have day after tomorrow. So I would like to day after tomorrow. I would like to congratulate all the participants, and we will meet again next week on next Saturday with the next topic. Thank you very much, sir. I would like to request you kindly share me your PPT so that we can share it with all the participants through our website.
Yes, sir. I will share the PPT to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I will mail you the PPT. Shall I mail
Thank
you or WhatsApp you the PPT?
Anything. WhatsApp will be better.
Okay.
Immediately I will upload it on the website.
Okay, I will do that. Just now I will.
Thank you. It was one of the best presentation. I would like to say thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ashish.
Thank you.